stand to salute the flag? Announcement of the Sunshine Law. In accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, it is hereby announced and shall be entered into the minutes of this meeting that adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by the following: posted on the bulletin boards of the office of the township clerk, posted on the bulletin boards within the municipal complex, printed in the Home News Tribune and Cranberry Press on December 26, 2025, posted on the Monroe Township website, and sent to those individuals who have requested personal notice. Madam Secretary, roll call, please.
Mr. Masters?
Here.
Mr. Lupo?
Here.
Mr. Busman? Ms. Caratori?
Here.
Mr. Tanzi?
Here.
Mr. Jaffe? Mr. Cole? Mr. Jadis? Mr. Vagani? Mr. LaFada?
Here. Okay, zoning board members, we have our minutes from our December
Nope.
2nd.
Nominations first.
Sorry. I'm going to turn it over to council.
What does it want?
What?
What do you want?
We're good.
Oh, okay.
Members of the board, the first item in reorganization would be the election of a chairperson. At this point, I would open up nominations for chairperson of the Zoning Board of Adjustment.
Make a motion, Vincent LaPata. I'll second it.
All right. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, can I ask for a motion to close nominations?
Make a motion to close.
Second that.
All in favor? And if we could have a roll call.
Mr. Masters?
Yes.
Mr. Lupo?
Yes.
Ms. Caratori? Mr. Tanzi?
Yes.
Mr. LaFada?
Thank you, yes. Okay, we're going to open up for nominations for vice chair. Do I have a nomination?
Make a motion.
Do I have a,
Lou Masters.
thank you. Do I have a second? Ms. Tanzi, second. Are there any other nominations? Seeing there's none, can I have a motion to close?
Lou.
Motion to close.
Second?
Aye.
All in favor?
No.
Aye.
Aye. Roll call?
Mr. Masters?
Yes.
Mr. Lupo?
Yes.
Ms. Caratori? Mr. Tanzi?
Yes.
Chairman LaFada?
Yes. Okay, board members. We have a nomination for board attorney. Do I have a nomination for that?
I'd like to make a nomination.
Motion?
Motion, rather, I'm saying. Sorry. Mr. Vignola.
Okay, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, are there any other nominations for attorney? Okay, I need a motion to close the nominations.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Roll call.
Mr. Masters?
Yes.
Mr. Lupo?
Yes.
Ms. Caratori? Mr. Tanzi?
Yes.
Chairman LaFada?
Yes.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay, board members, we have a nomination for board engineer. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion. Mark Razamovich.
Second.
Are there any other nominations for board engineer? Can I have a motion to close nominations for
Motion.
board engineer?
Second.
Madam Secretary, roll call, please.
Mr. Masters?
Yes.
Mr. Lupo?
Yes.
Ms. Caratori? Mr. Tanzi?
Yes.
Chairman LaFada?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, board members, we have a nomination for board planner. Do I have a nomination for board planner?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion. Christopher Dockney.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Are there any other nominations for board planner? Seeing there's none, I need a motion to close the board.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Madam Secretary?
Mr. Masters?
Yes.
Mr. Lupo?
Yes.
Ms. Caratori? Mr. Tanzi?
Yes.
Chairman LaFada?
Yes. Board members, we have a nomination, or can we have a nomination for board secretary?
Yes, I'll make a nomination. Laura Zelinski.
Second.
Okay, are there any other nominations for board secretary? Seeing there's none, I need a motion to close.
Motion.
Second.
Madam Secretary?
Mr. Masters?
Yes.
Mr. Lupo?
Yes.
Ms. Caratori? Mr. Tanzi?
Yes.
Chairman LaFada?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm looking for more minutes. Look at this. I have to read every one. Board members, in your packet, you have the rules and regs for the 2026 year. Do I have a motion to accept them?
Make a motion. Second.
Madam Secretary, roll call, please.
Mr. Masters?
Yes.
Mr. Lupo?
Yes.
Ms. Caratori? Mr. Tanzi?
Yes.
Chairman LaFada?
Yes. And we're just gonna cover the dates for all the meetings for this year. So we're gonna need a motion when I'm done reading them, okay? Just give me 1 second here. January 27th, February 24th, March 31st, April 28th, May 26th, June 30th, July 28th, August 25th, September 29th, October 27th. There is no meeting in November, and December 1st, which would be the only oddball, the first Tuesday of the month. All the other dates are the last Tuesday of the month. Do I have a motion to accept those?
Make a motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Madam Secretary, roll call.
Mr. Masters?
Is that March 24th, right?
March 31st.
31st.
Last Tuesday of the month.
Okay, because in the packet, it is marked as a 20.
What's on your last
March.
page? Lou?
Okay, I'm looking at the one before that.
Go to the one after that, should be the. Oh, uh-huh. Okay, we'll change it, but it is March 31st.
Then, yes.
Thank you. Mr. Lupo?
Yes.
Ms. Caratori? Mr. Tanzi?
Yes.
Chairman LaFada?
Yes. Okay, I think all the housework is done. Board members, everyone has a 2026 lay of the land, all our numbers and email addresses for board members and professionals. If not, Laura will get you one, or you can get it from Laura. The listing of all the names and numbers of everybody. Okay. Okay. I need approval for December 2nd, 2025 special meeting minutes. Do I have a motion for those?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Abstain.
Thank you.
I have to abstain.
Mr. Masters abstain.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. Gonna take this here.
Mr. Chairman, just one housekeeping item before we start. Application BA 5240-23 for Talex Realty. It was a use variance application, property at 8 Morton Avenue. There was an issue with the form of the notice that the applicant mailed and published. So unfortunately, the board does not have jurisdiction to hear that matter tonight. That will need to be renoticed and heard at a future date of the board.
Thank you. Okay, being that application doesn't exist, we're gonna go right to application BA-5256-24.
Apologies, Mr. Chairman. That application is ready. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Congratulations on the new appointments. Bear with me for one moment. Okay, again, Walter Toto, on behalf of the applicant, Joseph Gorvina of Collins Land Care. The subject property is 223 Old Forge Road, of course, in Monroe Township. Mr. Chairman, I may defer to Mr. Mignolo on this, but my understanding is that the focus of tonight's hearing is limited, and it's limited to the issue of whether res judicata applies to this application. As you may recall, Mr. Chairman, in November of 2023, the board voted 4-3 in favor of the application, but of course needing 5 votes for the use variance. The use variance was denied. So the question to the board tonight is, among other things, whether this application has substantial changes that are substantial enough to warrant us moving forward. And I suspect, and of course this is your call to make, Mr. Chairman, with the board, but if the board were to agree with my position that there are substantial changes, I have a couple of witnesses that will help us along that path, that we would then be heard at a future meeting of the board for the merits of the application.
Okay, counsel, can you just explain briefly to the board members what res judicata is and how it applies here, if it does apply?
Sure. So essentially, as Mr. Toto indicated, the application is before you this evening. It is for the same property with the same applicant as a prior application heard by this board. There is a doctrine called res judicata, and actually a decision was made on that prior application to deny the application. It was a use variance. It received 4 affirmative votes. It needed 5. So essentially, under the doctrine of res judicata, the board is not capable of hearing the same application twice. Once you make a decision, it's heard on its merits, that application can't come before the board again. So in order for res judicata to apply to bar this application this evening, there's 5 items which would need to be demonstrated. And the first is that the current application is substantially similar to the prior matter. The parties are the same. There's no substantial change in the zoning ordinance or the character of the area surrounding the property. The prior decision must have occurred on the merits, so you might have heard it to its entirety and made a decision, not it came before you, but they withdrew it, or you didn't dispose of it for some other reason. And then the prior decision must involve the same property and be presented to the same board, which is the Zoning Board of Adjustment, which previously heard it. So I'm certain that Mr. Toto has an argument to make on behalf of his client for why that doctrine would not apply and why the board would be capable of hearing this application. Based upon communications I've received, I know there is at least one attorney for a group of neighbors who would argue against Mr. Toto's position that res judicata does not apply. So that's where we are for this evening. And ultimately it's the board's determination on whether or not those 5 items are present and res judicata would apply and bar the hearing of the application.
Before we continue, we'd like a copy of the transcript, please.
Of course, Mr. Chairman, absolutely. As soon as I
Just
have
for
it.
the record.
Yes. So to narrow things even a bit further, my focus tonight is on elements number 1 and number 3 of what Mr. Vignolo just recited. That being that this second application, which I'll refer to as the new application, is not substantially similar to the first or the old application. I'll refer to it as the old and the new. And the third element is that there are substantial changes in the application itself. So to that end, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to call Mr. Gravina, who is the owner and the applicant, and then subsequently Lorelei Totten from Crest, our engineer, and Mr. Remza, our project planner, to wrap things up. So, Joe, if you would, come on up. He's got to go down there.
You have to decide when you want questions from the public. At the end of everything, it's probably the best. Yeah. Yeah. Good evening, sir. If you could just raise your right hand for me. Do you swear the testimony you're going to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
If you could state your name, spell your last name, and give us your address for the record, please.
Joseph Gravina, Gravina, 223 Old Forge Road, Monroe Township.
Joe, you were a part of the last hearing before the zoning board with regard to the use variance on this property in November of 2023, correct?
Yes.
And you testified at that hearing?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. My argument to the board is that the most substantial change is that one of your business uses has now been eliminated. specifically that of the tree removal business that you had once conducted. Can you confirm that the tree removal aspect of the business has been eliminated?
Yes, I sold all the equipment off.
Okay, and can you just expound on that? Explain to the board when that all happened.
Mr. Toto, could we just get that mic a little bit closer?
Yeah, of course.
Thank you.
What was the question again?
The question was with regard to when the tree removal part of the business was eliminated.
It all been done. It was done over this year. This past 2025.
Okay.
During 2025, I sold all the equipment off.
And my other argument to the board would be that you have access to another property. Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay. And where is that property?
in Helmetta,
Okay. Specifically, where in Helmetta?
4 Main Street in Helmetta.
Okay. And you have a lease on that property?
Yes,
And when did you sign that lease?
I signed the first lease to rent just a lot, August of 23, and last March of 25 is when I signed a lease to rent the part of the building.
And how has that lease allowed you to change the use of the current property, of the Old Forge property?
I have a place to store all my equipment now.
Okay. So let's get into that. When you last testified, my reading of the transcript shows that you at one time were asking for permission to have 9 trucks at the Old Forge property. I know in our application on the site plan or on the use variance sketch, we indicate that the old proposal was for 6. Can you clarify that at all? Was it 6 trucks? Was it 9? How many trucks were on site?
I've owned 9 altogether, but I don't think all 9 were ever on the site at one time.
Fair enough. And now with this proposal, with the new application, how many trucks are you proposing on site?
2.
Okay. So 2 trucks. And what types of trucks?
Most likely they're going to be a Ford F550.
Okay. And does anything accompany the trucks?
There should be landscape trailers with them.
Okay. And now, this is a question that Chairman LaFauda brought up during the last hearing. How many trailers during the last application did you have?
4.
Okay. And how about now?
2.
2 on site. Do you also have 2 in Helmetta?
Yes,
Okay. So you still have the 4, but you've got 2 in Monroe and 2 in Helmetta.
correct. I only use 2 on a daily manner. So
Okay. Just very quickly, Joe, are you still proposing a porta-john on the property?
no,
Okay. How will employees access the, what will they do if they need to use the bathroom?
if they need to use a restroom, they can use the one in my home.
Okay. Let's talk about the number of employees. In the last application, do you recall how many you were proposing that came to the site in the summertime?
Between 10 and 15.
Okay. And what is the proposal now for the summertime?
At the most 5.
Okay. Who primarily, and you say at the most, on a regular basis, would it be less than 5?
It depends if they carpool. Sometimes they carpool together. But the main 3 people that are going to be coming to the site every day is my operations manager and my 2 crew leaders.
So operations manager and 2 crew leaders, and they would, and this is only in the summer, correct?
Yes,
And they would end up taking the 2 trucks that we just mentioned.
correct.
Okay. Not 3 trucks, but 2 trucks.
2 trucks.
So presumably one would go, there'd be a pair in one truck and someone would drive the other truck solo.
Correct.
Okay. In the wintertime, the old proposal was for how many employees to come to the site?
5 to 6.
Okay. What about now?
0.
Okay. Why is it 0?
Because all the trucks are to be stored in the wintertime at the yard in Helmetta, and that's where they would be reporting for work when they leave.
Okay. Hours of operation in the summer have not changed?
No, they remain the same.
Okay. And if there's no one coming in the winter because they're all headed to Helmetta, so there are no hours proposed in the winter for Old Forge.
Correct.
Okay. In the last hearing for the old application, Joe, you testified about storing herbicides on site. What is the proposal for the herbicides now for the new application?
They'd be stored on location in Helmetta.
So you wouldn't store any herbicides in Monroe?
Correct.
Okay. Do you still have the same answer as to whether or not waste is generated on site at Old Forge?
Minimal waste. Most 90% of it's household.
Okay. So your accommodation is for household garbage,
Yes.
essentially. Okay. And is it also accurate that there are no deliveries still to this site?
Correct.
Okay. And lastly, there is no accommodation for material storage on site still.
Correct.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I have nothing further for Mr. Gravina.
What I think we're going to do is I think we're going to get all your
Sure.
testimony out
Of course.
before we get the questions of the board, before we get the questions potentially from the public. So I guess if you're finished with your first witness, we'll go to your second one.
Sure. Lorelei, if you would.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
On your lapel.
There you go.
All right.
If you could raise your right hand, you swear the testimony you're going to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
If you could state your name, spell your last name, and give us your address, please, for the record.
Yes. Lorelei Totten, Crest Engineering, Associates Inc., 100 Reich Drive, Millstone Township, New Jersey. My name is spelled Lorali. Totten, T as in Tom, Otten. And I graduated from Lehigh University.
We'll accept your credentials. You've
Thank
been
you
here
very
before.
much.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Lorelei, you understand the purpose of tonight's hearing,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
So please expound, if you would, on the substantial changes to this application from what we're referring to as the old.
Yes, there are several changes. As you know, the site contains a house and two buildings, and it has access to Garibaldi as well as to Old Forge. So the proposal is to close off the access to Garibaldi by planting a series of green giant arborvitaes across where the entrance is now. Additionally, the impervious cover is going to be reduced because there's less equipment to store. So that behind the building, when you're looking at the property on the left, the large building in the back, will be reduced to only provide access to an overhead door that's in that building. Those are the main changes. We're reducing the amount of equipment being stored on site, as you already heard. The impervious coverage is being reduced from 59.6% to 53.2%. And so those are the main site changes. We're still proposing additional landscaping around the perimeter of the site. And in the past 2.5 years, all the landscaping that was planted already by Mr. Gravina has grown substantially because most of it's green giant arborvitaes.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, nothing further from Ms. Totten.
Bring your next
Mr. Remser? Thanks, Lorelei.
Do you swear the testimony you're going to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
If you could state your name, spell your last name, and give us your address, please, for the record.
Yes. Good evening. Mark A. Remsa. Last name is spelled Remsa. Address is 10 Dewberry Court, Mount Laurel, New Jersey.
We'll accept his credentials.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mark, please expound with a focus on the use changes. Please provide the board the benefit of your planning testimony.
Yeah. So I listened to Mr. Gravina's testimony and Lorelei Totten's testimony. Essentially, what I've heard from a planning perspective is that the applicant has changed the type of commercial service use on the property. Where before, to summarize, it was essentially all the crews and all the employees would come to the site and pick up the equipment and trucks and trailers and go out and do their landscape maintenance and then return. Now what I'm hearing is essentially it's the operator, Mr. Gravina, meeting with his supervisory folks, 3 to 5 folks in the morning. They take instruction and then they leave with the 2 trucks and trailers and then they return. And so no longer is there the porta-john on the site for all of the other employees. There's so few employees that will be visiting the site. They will be using the restroom inside Joe's house. Also, in terms of the types of storage, of its reduction, no herbicides are within the within the property, and also no longer any kind of waste would be generated by the business. It's now just household waste, no deliveries. And then also the significant change on the site plan is where before you used to have access to both streets, Garibaldi Avenue and Old Forge Road. Now it's been access has been eliminated to Old Forge Road because there's such fewer vehicles visiting the site. And then ultimately there's also a reduction in the impervious surface because they no longer need all that surface because they're not having all the different trucks and equipment parked on the site. So in my opinion, this is, in summary, is a substantive change. It's a reduction in intensity of use from what was on the old application that was previously before you.
Thanks, Mark. Mr. Chairman, nothing further.
Mark, could you just touch back on Old Forge? Did you say something about illuminated or?
No, eliminated.
Okay.
Access is eliminated.
Okay, was that the road that the last time they wanted to use in the back of the property?
Correct.
Okay.
I think
Yeah.
Oh, that's Garibaldi.
No, Garibaldi.
Garibaldi's the road in the back.
Garibaldi's the road
Closing
in,
off.
The road in the back that I think last time they wanted to gravel so they can enter and exit from there and not come through their driveways.
That's off
that
the
is
table.
that is correct.
So that's off the
That's
table.
off
Yes.
the table.
So now they'll be coming in and out from the homeowner's driveway.
Correct.
Yes, that's
And
correct.
the idea is that it's now limited. All he has is the 2 trucks as opposed to the 6, perhaps up to 9. But in the old application, let's just call it 6 for fairness sake. With a limited amount of employees coming to the site and none coming in the winter.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks, Mark. No further witnesses, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Chris, right?
yes,
Let's
Mr.
start off with Chris. He's new here, so I'm just getting used to him. So, Chris, feel free to read any paperwork that you provided for this board and for the public
Sure.
to hear. Thank you.
Sure, I'll just stick to the res judicata issue here, which I don't know if I can say much more than has already been presented to you, other than offer my opinion here. I won't get into anything on the actual use variances, but it does seem to me they've made, although I was not here for the original application 2 years ago, it does seem to me that they've made quite a few substantial changes. I don't know that it's necessarily changing the character of the proposed use, but certainly it has lessened the intensity by quite a bit. The other thing that I think needs to be considered here, the entire purpose of res judicata, so you're not hearing the same application over and over and over again. They can't just come back and say, we made this one little change, now try it, or you got a new board member, let's see if this other board member wants to vote in favor of us and we get 5 instead of 4. And I have not seen the resolution denying the previous application, but I think it'd be wise to consider the reasoning behind the, I'll call it a denial, but the not quite approval of the 4-3 vote. And what was the reasoning that this did not pass, and have there been any changes to that? And I don't know. I was not here. Maybe the board members know what was going on at the time 4 years ago. But just looking at the application on the merits itself, it seems to me that they have made enough changes that it is a different application, or not exactly the same application, that there is new things to consider. They've cut off access from the rear drive Although from what it just sounded, they were almost proposing to cut off access from both streets, which would really drastically have changed the application. I'm Mark shaking his head. I'm kidding.
We did clarify.
I understood that he said the wrong street name.
Yes, thank you. Mr.
But
Dodd.
my general opinion here, and although it's up to you, is there does seem to be enough changes that this would warrant rehearing the application, or not rehearing the application, but hearing this new application because it is different from the previous application. And just as a minor point of clarification there, I don't want that to be interpreted as any sort of endorsement of the application on the use variance itself, but in terms of just hearing the application anew as a new application and a different application, I think it does meet that threshold of being different enough where you're not just hearing the same testimony over and over again. And again, I don't think it's a different application in character, although the removal of the tree removal business probably reduces the amount of equipment on site. Still basically a landscape business in a residential zone, in a residential area, but the proposed intensity of the use is substantially lower.
Thank you. Mark, do you have anything to add to this before we go to the board members?
I would just add one thing with regard, since you're cutting off Garibaldi Avenue access and utilizing Old Forge Road, the size of the vehicle and the driveway, maneuvering into the driveway is, can the truck that you're proposing make the turns in and out of that driveway on Old Forge? Can I get some testimony on it?
Lorelei? Yep. Yeah. Yeah, no, Lorelei, fine. That's understood. Joe, you heard Mr. Razumos' question, right? You're still under oath, of course?
Correct.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so we've been doing it all year because every time the guys came to my house this year to cut the grass, that's how we'd be coming in and out of the property. So
What type of truck?
it's a F-550 with a trailer,
Okay,
or a landscape trailer. And every time they came to the house to do work at that property this year, they would come in through the front because we had no other access.
thank you. That's all I had.
Any board members have any questions?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mr.
Just one
Tanzi.
question. In the winter operation,
Get closer to the mic, please. No, it was on. Just get closer.
in the winter operation, the two trailers that you keep there during the summer, what happens with those?
They'll be stored in Building A.
Okay. But during the summer, where are they stored?
They'll be attached to the back of the trucks.
Trucks, okay.
Just to clarify, Mr. Tanzi, in between buildings A and building B, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And it might not be every day or often, but sometimes there'll be a trailer stuck to the truck.
Any other board members? I do have one question. Recalling the application from last time, there was statements made with respect to, I guess, some sort of a hardship if they have to go elsewhere and move the business, this and that. I'm a little lost while we're renting property and you're relocating everything to that property, but you're not moving your main business to that property if you're taking the time to rent property.
There are limitations there also, Mr. LaFata. I actually, full disclosure, I've represented that individual in Helmetta, not as it relates to Mr. Gravina, but I know for a fact that there are also limitations at that property. What's happening out there is permitted, but I don't think they could. Improving the property to the extent of having, a 3,300 and a 2,300 square foot building, I don't think that's feasible out there. The buildings are small, it's limited. There may even be wetlands considerations, at least as it relates to improving the property to the extent that this property is.
I don't know the property. It's the first
No, I
time hearing
understand.
that he rented
Yeah,
something.
sure.
What my only question is, if we transitioned a decent portion of the business to that property, why not just take the balance of it and,
Yeah, please, Joe. Yeah, sure.
I'm just trying to understand that, we're going to hear this application, we're going to go through the process.
It's a financial situation. Renting a yard space isn't expensive. I could afford at $1,500, $1,200 a month. To rent office space in a building, it's cost me way over $3,300 a month more. So I don't want to spend $50,000 a year to rent a place when I have a suitable place at my house.
Joe, there was also no buildings to store your equipment.
Yes. Yeah, if I uprooted everything from my business, I have nowhere to store things in the off season to keep things out of the weather
At the Helmetta property.
at the Helmetta property.
Okay, I don't recall from last time, like, do we do emergency 24-hour work?
No.
I don't recall. No?
No.
Okay. Okay. Any questions? I'm going to ask you to have a seat, and we're going to open it to the public in case anyone from the public wants to hear. Thank you. So, I guess this young man is standing. We're going to start with him first.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're
David,
going to need to use the microphone, please.
that was on. What do I know?
Oh, Dave.
Thank you.
Well, you can put that on your lapel. We need that one. That one's for the court stenographer. We need the one in front of you for our records. Okay? We're going to decorate you tonight. A lot of things.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right.
David Lonsky from the law firm of Shammy, Shipers and Lonsky, on behalf of the Buffalinos, who are the neighbors who live directly across the street from the subject property. You may recall I was here also on behalf of the same objectors a couple of years ago when this application was first brought. And I have, with respect to the res judicata argument, a few documents that I'd like to hand out, and I can present them either directly to the board or through Mr. Remsa, who is the planner.
Why don't you tell us what they are, and then we'll hear from Mr. Toto on whether or not he wants you to establish a foundation for those documents coming in.
Yeah, the first document's the proposed site plan from I used the 2023, which is when the hearing was, although the resolution was adopted in January of 24.
Call that
That's the site plan
01
application.
currently for identification, and you'll decide.
No objection.
Okay.
The second one is the site plan application with the current application for comparison's sake.
So call that 02.
That one I just marked on the top of
Just don't walk too far with that mic stuck to your lapel.
2026.
No, the mic on your shirt.
Yeah.
Watch it, Dave.
Yeah, you want to take that off before you move around. Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. 02 is the new application.
02 is the new site plan.
New site plan. Fair enough.
And just for the record, I'm looking from all the way over here, and is there an area that has yellow highlighter on it?
There is, and I was going to just describe that. Those are
Okay, so they are the plan subject to some modification that you're going to tell us about in a second.
That's correct.
Awesome sauce. I just want to make sure we understand what these are.
Do we have any for the board members?
I do. There's
Okay.
8 copies here.
Kev, if you don't mind, please. Thanks.
Kevin's on it. Oh, yeah, it's 01 and 02.
Yeah.
Walter, did you get both?
01 is 23. 02 is, we'll call it 26 for identification. Sir?
I have 03, which is just a copy of the resolution.
Okay.
Yeah, no objection.
Thank you, sir. And actually, I believe that the board probably has a copy of the resolution because I believe Mr. Toto submitted it with the application.
I believe so.
Yeah, so if you want, you can forego 03 and you can just refer to it at your heart's content because it's already part of the board's record for this application. You got it. Try to preserve some trees, although they're probably already dead. You got the copies
They're
already.
gone already.
Yeah, if only we'd known.
And then I had 04, which is a copy of the public notice that was given in 2023.
All right. So we'll call that 04 because we got rid of 03, but
I have one question here before we go crazy. 23 is showing the new diagram, and 26 that's labeled here is showing me a porta-john and everything else which was the original. So how are we doing this?
26
Right
was
here.
revised.
Come up and look, just
Sure.
so we're on the same page. Well, I'm sorry. Counsel,
I'm sorry,
can you please explain to me you label this 2026, and it's showing the Porta-John and everything, and that's the.
To be removed.
I think it says Porta-John to be removed.
Yeah.
Shouldn't it be the other way around?
Dave, you have 26?
No, because in the 2023 application, the Porta-John would have remained. And frankly, I don't know that the Porta-John ever showed up on that application. I think it just showed up in testimony as people started talking about what was going on site. So I think now we've identified its location and said it's going away.
Okay, my bad.
All good. No worries.
Sorry.
And these are the applications that were on file. Town.
Yeah.
Sorry. So 04 is the 2023 notice.
Yep.
And 05 would be the 2026 notice.
Yep.
No objections.
Thanks.
I could leave these. So the highlighted section on the two site plans, 01 and 02, were highlights that I had added just to point out specifically what the similarities are between these applications for the record, and what was originally proposed as per the site plan application and as set forth in the resolution versus some of the things that were testified to. Just for comparison's sake. I would also call the board's attention in the resolution, which I think the board planner had indicated that it would be important to determine whether or not there's a substantial deviation in this application, not in terms of whether or not there's one or more employees or one or more trucks there, because that's really not substantial to the use variances that were sought. And the board in its resolution, which begins on page 20, identified the items that were important to its decision, to its determination. And those points that were important to the board dealt primarily with whether or not this particular property was particularly suited to have two primary uses, single-family residential home and the landscaping business. And the board concluded that because the R60 zone only allowed for single-family homes, and this property could be used for that purpose, that the applicant could not meet that standard. The applicant simply cannot meet the standard that this property is particularly suited to have two primary uses. The board also indicated that the property, again, the overall size, which hasn't changed, was 66,000 square feet, just slightly more than the 60,000 square feet minimum required for the zone. And that therefore, again, the site could not meet the standard for two uses with the buffering that's required for commercial uses. None of that has changed. The substantial dimensions of the property haven't changed. The two uses of the property as a landscaping business and as a single-family home, that's what was significant, and that's what this board found as memorialized in the resolution. The board rejected the arguments very similar to what's being made today. And then I would also point out that with the case of res judicata, that what the board has to consider is not whether or not everything's identical, but in the terms of a use variance, whether or not the changes were for the good or for the bad as compared to the standards for the zone and as compared to the standards for a use variance. So for example, if you look at 01, notwithstanding the testimony, the site plan that was presented to the board and frankly is referenced in the resolution called for 1 truck to be parked on the site, not 6 or 9 or some of the other testimony. Yes, there were some trucks that were going to be parked in the garages, but only 1 would be outside. The current application, 02, references the 2 tandem trucks, basically. The trucks with the trailers that would be residing between the 2 buildings, and that frankly nearly blocks the parking for the employees that is all the way in the rear of the property. So you'll see that there's 5 parking spots for employees that were proposed for the 11 to 15 employees previously, and there's still those same 5 spots. The number of trucks have increased from what the original site plan was, 1 to 2. The removal of the porta-john, I would submit, is probably a bigger negative than anything. You have employees walking around this property without a place to go to the bathroom. There was concern that the door was slamming. There was concern that there were smells that come from a porta-john. But it's better to have a porta-john than no bathroom whatsoever. And to suggest that employees are going to go into someone's personal residence when they have children is just incredulous. I've never heard of a commercial business that didn't have its own bathrooms. And we raised that point 2 years ago. And it's part of the resolution that said that, if you're going to have a separate second business on this property, you have to accommodate the employees. You have to give them a place to relieve themselves. And the other thing I would say on that regard is this property is serviced by a septic system that was designed for a residential home, not for commercial use, not for 5 employees, not for 10 employees, not for employees having to go to the bathroom. And it certainly doesn't make sense to me that this property, because it's on septic, is certainly not suitable for the 2 uses, because you can't provide that bathroom for the employees. You can't provide that bathroom for the business of the landscaping. I would also point out, for purposes of the record, that, again, the resolution, which beginning on page 20 sets forth the reasons that this board denied the application. There's not one mention in any of those conclusions and basis for the decision that talks about tree removal. That was just something that wasn't important to the board to even conclude that that was a additional use that would warrant a denial. That what was laid out here was the fact that it's a residential zone, that it would disturb the neighbors to have these trucks coming in and out and engines revving as trucks came in and out, as employees came on the property, as employees walked the property, that there wasn't sufficient buffering. All of the things that are laid out in this very well-drafted resolution that gives us the context for what the board did. There's nothing in this resolution that talks about any of the items as being significant to the decision of the board, as was just testified to, these minor differences. So, and the other thing that I think is incredibly interesting to point out, and at the first hearing, the board raised the issue of what if Garibaldi Avenue was closed, because it's in essence a paper street that Monroe accesses, right, that the township can access. And the applicant's attorney, and their planner all testified under oath that should Garibaldi Street be closed, that the landscaping business would be discontinued on the property. It would be discontinued. That's what they testified to, because this site could not accommodate a landscaping business without that access from the rear. Because their argument was it hasn't changed, that this property should be considered bifurcated with the residential use to the front and the commercial use to the rear. And that the board should consider it as as allowing two businesses on one parcel because of that bifurcation, that dissection of this property. Now we're skewing that. We're saying that all of the trucks and all of the business and all of the detrimental effects of having two uses and having a business are going to be spread throughout the entire parcel, which means it's a worse application from a use standpoint than was presented to this board 2 years ago. And for those reasons, and I know there's other factual testimony that some of the members of the public want to bring up, but I think it's obvious from the site plan applications that were presented initially, that we're hearing today, from the notices that were presented, that this is really two use variances, right? The first use variance is to allow two principal uses, a business and a residential, on one parcel. And the second use variance is to allow a business, landscaping business, that's not permitted in the zone. So there's two use variances, neither of which are any different in this application than they were in the original application.
Mr. Toto, I'm going to give you a chance to respond.
Sure.
My question to you is, would you be able to hold off with responses? So I want to get the public up. I think I started this wrong. I shouldn't have had their representative come up. I should have gotten people from the public who we can hear their opinion before we got into legal mumbo jumbo between two attorneys.
My response would be brief to Mr. Lonsky,
Okay.
but I think his argument about Garibaldi works in my favor. It lends credence to the fact that this application has changed that substantially, because as it relates to whether it's the bathrooms, access to Garibaldi, we have changed the use and the application so substantially that we don't care about Garibaldi anymore. And by the way, if that was a condition of approval, had the application been approved, that if access to Garibaldi was ever shut down, the business would have to cease, that'd be one thing. But we're not having that argument. What Mr. Lonsky's posing is a hypothetical. So the employees, it's such an in and out that they're just not there that often, and they're not there for long periods of time. So whether an owner occupier, an owner landscaper, owner contractor wants to use, have his employees use the facilities, that's certainly up to him. Why the bathroom is necessary for this limited use for the employees, it makes no sense to me. And as far as the prior application, we're not increasing the trucks. He talked about having as many as 9 trucks on site and 6 to park in various areas. Why that wasn't shown on the plan, I do not know. And we're not talking about tandem trucks. The description is they were F550s. And those are not tandem dump trucks, which are substantially different and more intense. So that's all I have just for now, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Counsel, we'll get back to you. We're not going to cut you off just yet. But I do want to hear, and who did you say you were representing?
Mr. and Mrs. Buffalino.
Strictly the Buffalinos.
Correct.
Okay. So you're going to be their representation. They're not going to have an opportunity to come up to speak because you're representing them.
Other than
I correct with that?
I have no intention of calling them for purposes of the res judicata argument.
Right. But if this were to proceed to a hearing and you wanted to proffer testimony of your client, certainly you'd be able to do that.
Okay. So anyone from the public wishing to be heard on this application, what we've heard up to this point, please come forward and we'll get you sworn in and we'll get some statements.
And just, Mr. Chairman, I would indicate that for the purpose of public comment now, we're hearing comment on the res judicata argument, not on the substantive nature of the use variance application. Correct?
Correct.
Okay.
I just want the public to understand that when they come up, maybe we'll just briefly explain it to them. Don't be afraid. Just come right up, sit down, or stand up till we get you sworn in.
If you could just raise your right hand as you're sitting. Do you swear any testimony you provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
And if you could state your name, spell your last name, and give us your address for the record, please speak into the microphone and speak loud because it needs to pick you up.
My name is Rakea Danish, spelled Danish. Is the last name. I live on 230 Old Forge Road.
Did you get that? You can sit. You can move closer to the mic. It doesn't hurt. Don't worry about it. We're good here. Okay, just so you're clear, as our attorney indicated, we're here to listen to the public with respect to the res judicata, which is if they made substantial changes to even proceed to hear this application. So anything that you say has to be pertaining to that, okay?
I think that what I want to say is that the application hasn't changed. It's still a residential area, and they're proposing a business. They're also bringing unknown people to the area. It's a street filled with children, and having these people there at any time of the year could be dangerous. And also the fact that having a landscaping business in an area where there's residential properties will bring the property value down substantially, and there is proof of that because we've spoken to realtors and other.
Objection to hearsay.
Okay, she's allowed her opinion. We understand certain things. Go ahead, continue.
Sure.
Also, just like if it's an eyesore, if there's things parked,
just tilt that
there's
down?
things parked on the property that considered an eyesore to the street, because there's mostly residential vehicles parked there, and there's these big vehicles there. Then also coming in and out of the property, it's a 2-lane road that goes fairly like 40 miles an hour. If there's going to be accidents or things like that happen due to this business existing on this property.
Okay.
Just a quick, Ms. Danish, thank you for testifying. When did you purchase your property? When did you purchase your property?
About 2 years ago.
Okay, in 2024?
Yeah.
What time of the year? Do you recall that?
Maybe like December or January, early January.
Of 2024?
Yeah.
Okay, nothing further.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to say?
No, I think that businesses shouldn't be allowed in a residential zone, which we purchased. And if it's not zoned for it, then the application hasn't significantly changed.
Okay. Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else in the public wishing to be heard, please come forward.
Evening.
Good evening. I could swear you in quickly. If you could raise your right hand, you swear any testimony you provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
If you could state your name, spell your last name, and give us your address, please.
My name is Daniel Tuminia, Tumminia, and I live at 42 McFarland Circle in Monroe. I wasn't here for the first hearing, so but I was listening to this gentleman, and he made some valid points. It was changed substantially from what I hear, but it sounds like it was changed not for the better. Okay, I'm a small business owner. I have a construction company since 2004. I have small equipment, and I wouldn't even think about putting trucks or anything on my property. And I have a bigger property than he does. So I just don't understand. I don't understand his thinking. I mean, you have, like you said, you have a house. I mean, you have a building. Why not put everything there? There could be a little office. You don't have to have a fancy office. You have a little office in the, where the trucks are. It could be a 5x10 office, unless you're seeing clients. I don't know. But also, like she said, common sense. You're eliminating a porta potty. Okay. You're not going to I don't think anybody would let any worker come in their house and use their bathroom every single day if they have to, especially if they're landscapers, full of mud, this, that. How long is that going to last? As far as trucks are concerned, who wants to listen to trucks early in the morning? No one said the time There's no time in the winter, but what is it in the summertime? What are the hours in the summertime? Are they 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock? No one mentioned the time. If it's 7 o'clock in the morning and you have diesel trucks started, whether it's 1, 2, 3, it's annoying. It's a nuisance. I mean, granted, whether you have $100,000 home, $1 million home, I don't think any homeowner wants to come to Monroe and listen to this, listen to that. I feel for the gentleman. Like I said, I'm a small business owner, and it's tough, but I wouldn't think about putting anything on my property. I mean, you have to do what you have to do to, it's just not a commercial area. Old Forge Road, where I live, it's basically all residential. And if you do for him, what's to keep you from doing for somebody else if they want to be a copycat or another landscaper? I mean, you have to say yes to everyone.
No, each application comes here on its own merit.
Okay.
And the decision is made based on that. So just
Right.
because we do something somewhere in the town does not set precedence anywhere
Okay.
else in the town.
I'm glad you said that because I wouldn't want to think otherwise. I mean, listen, they have good cases, both sides, but hearing this gentleman, I never met him before, it sounds like what he's saying is that's the town where I want to live. I don't want trucks next door to me. I don't want trucks up the road from me. I don't want them. I came here with my children 22 years ago, and the town's a beautiful town, and it should stay residential. I mean, hopefully, everybody's happy, but thank you.
Thank you.
Just one quick question. What was your address again, sir?
42 McFarland Circle.
42 McFarland.
MacFarlane.
Did you receive a notice from me?
No, I did not receive a notice from you.
Any idea how far you are from the property as the crow flies?
Yeah, about 2.5 miles.
Okay.
Yeah, Monroe's not a big town. Okay.
44 square miles. No, I'm finished. Please.
You could raise your right hand. Do you swear any testimony you provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
If you could state your name, spell your last name, and give us your address, please, for the record.
Yep. Aaron Corona, Corona, 225 Old Forge Road, Monroe. It sucks getting one of these letters in the mail. It hurts. It's like opening up an old wound. Yep, we're here again today and have to deal with this again. I'll just state at the beginning that I do not agree that there have been substantial changes, and I don't think that this should be heard again. We moved into Old Forge Road 10 years ago, and we did our research. We checked plans and everything, and when we did move in, we knew we didn't move into a street where commercial businesses operated legitimately. But in fact, we moved into a R60 neighborhood that by law and on paper was fully residential. And 10 years later, we don't want that to change. I'll just keep this brief for now. You'll see by the number of families here tonight that are speaking out against this, we don't want our family-friendly residential neighborhood turned into a commercial runway, just like any of you here would want the same done to your houses. Essentially, bottom line is, we do not want a business in our backyard.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions?
No, nothing for you, sir. Thank you.
Where does he live and
225 Old Forge, Mr. Lupo.
how far away is that from
He said adjacent to the property.
adjacent to the property? And when
Adjacent.
And when did he move there?
10 years ago? Yes.
Comfy. It's comfy.
It is. It really is.
If you could raise your right hand, sir. Do you swear any testimony you provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
If you could state your name, spell your last name, and give us your address, please.
Last name is Fox, Fox. Address is 227 Old Forge Road. I did get one of those letters a long time ago from the township when they were putting through Avenue K, which I was told originally was going to be a paper street and I would never have a street there. So it became quite a back and forth with the township. That changed when I moved in 28, 29 years ago, and that changed the way I have to live on my property now. Changing anything in a residential area to making it commercial just doesn't make sense to me. Already Old Forge Road has gotten busier. Avenue K, I'm sure you can check a police record, several accidents that happen on Avenue K. We actually went to the township, got the variance so that you guys eminent domained part of our property because of school buses coming out because of the potential for them getting T-boned coming over that hill, which is a blind hill. School buses close to the length of a track, just maybe the trailer, maybe 40 some odd feet. You got landscaping vehicles pulling out of a driveway, 550? The length of the Ford pickup truck has got to be close to 27 feet. Putting a trailer on top of that, that's a big pull straight out. Not that this matters. I don't want it to be commercial. I'd rather keep it residential. But Garibaldi would have been a home run then for them because they could have driven straight in from Old Forge or Garibaldi and straight out the other way. Turning around the full truck with a full trailer is tough on a limited spot. And I don't really know how much room he has for that. Either way, this is about whether that changed or not. We're zoned R60. That's the way that area should stay. Otherwise, we will see multiple changes and other folks coming up looking to change that, I believe. Have any questions?
No, sir.
Excellent.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public? Please come forward.
Good evening. If you could raise your right hand. Do you swear any testimony you provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
If you could state your name, spell your last name, and give us your address, please.
Sheldon Kukafka, Kukafka, 10 Cottonwood Court. Firstly, you mentioned that setting a precedent does not exist.
Sir, can you just tilt that mic down and just talk as loud as you could so everyone in the public can hear it, please? Thank you.
You commented on a decision that may or may not be made will not set a precedent for future cases. I don't understand how the board can make that comment because that is the purpose of this type of a meeting. It will set a precedent, and I expect the board to recognize that because you're being...
We'll respect your opinion, but I'll disagree. So you can continue. That's why this board is established. That's why it's here. It's our discretion based on testimony from clients, applicants, the same way we're observing people who are against it. That's what this board is here for. That's why it was designed. That's why it was established. We have the authority, if we wish to, based on what's being put forth, to either say yay or nay with an application. And again, every application is on its own merit. It does not set precedents.
So you're telling me that you can support an argument to approve of one member and not their neighbor for making similar changes?
I'm not going to sit here and debate with you. I made a statement. I think it can be backed up legally from our attorney. If you wish to say anything with this application, you're more than welcome to do so. Other than that, this board reserves the right to move forward or not move forward on it.
Okay.
We do take everyone's opinion into consideration. We are also Monroe residents. We respect everyone. We try and do our best. We're not professionals, but we've all been to school. We've all have training, and we rely on our professionals as well to make common sense decisions when we get to that point.
So let me comment that the gentleman who's applying for this variance, first of all, from the street view, has a beautiful home. I pass it almost every day, and I think it's kept in a it's meticulous, basically. And I understand the gentleman wanting to use his property and using Garibaldi to keep his home in that manner. What I'm fearful of is that this is going to set a precedent. It won't be able to be defended by the board. That's just my opinion. And then the people who are arguing not to change it, the Buffalinos, while they may not like what I'm saying, is they then will likely use their landscaping business, their nursery business, and I will have commercial property behind my home. And I don't think this board, I think the attorney would likely agree that in his practice, precedent matters.
I would disagree. I agree with my chairman
Precedent
that
does not matter.
I agree with my chairman that each matter
What
is
is the legal system based on?
Sir, if you would let
Examples.
me speak, thank you. I appreciate it. There is no precedent for a granting of a variance. Each application stands on its own merit, as Chairman LaFata recited. So I understand your position that you disagree with that, but unfortunately, that's not the case.
Well, also as a business owner in the township of Monroe, I don't have the opportunity to have my business at my home. And if the gentleman arguing the case that he'd like to, then the board has to decide if they want to hear it. And what I've heard is an application that seems to me to be similar. You have any questions for me?
No, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else in the public wishing to be heard, please come forward.
Good evening. Do you swear the testimony you're going to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If you could state your name, spell your last name, and give us your address. You can sit down while you do this. For the record, please.
Heather Corona, 225 Old Forge Road, directly next door to the applicant's property. And at this time, I'll only be talking about the raised judicata like you had asked. A few things during the testimony that I'd like to bring up that were in the original application and in the original resolution, which I have in front of me and will go through. One is that the initial application was for one truck and one trailer to be in the driveway. That is here directly in the notes. Now that's being increased to 2. It's in the driveway. That's definitely a detriment. One is that it's the same leaving and returning as in the past. In the previous application, there were also no deliveries and no waste. That is unchanged. That is nothing different. That is here in the board's notes and in their resolution. We've already ascertained that in the notes and in the resolution for why the board denied this, that the planner asserted that if access was limited to Old Forge, this business would be discontinued. I already heard what the attorney Toto said, that that was speculation. However, that was a statement made under oath. Additionally, in the original application, it was said that herbicides were not stored in a building. They were stored in the trailers. So that was said at the last meeting. So I wonder if that's the same or if that's different. Because if they were never stored in a building, according to the transcripts, they were stored locked, several gallons in the trailers. I've also been at this property for 10 years. And this has always been zoned residential. If we go through the pages and the resolution, nothing has changed, and that this is still a property with a single family residential use, and that the property cannot be developed with a conforming use within the R60 residential district. That is number 2. Number 3 states the board recognizes that one of the goals of sound zoning, which is supported by case law, is to eliminate non-conforming uses, not to endorse them by granting a variance. Number 4 states that the subject property is marginally larger than the minimum size required and does not contain sufficient area to appropriately support and buffer 2 principal uses. That is the same as that application.
Objection, because we're getting beyond res judicata.
Actually, this is res judicata because I am looking at the previous paperwork, and this is the resolution, and I'm looking at the 11 things why the board denied it in the first place. I have plenty more to talk about if this were ever to go to be heard. In number 6, the board concludes that the number of variances requested by the applicant would be a substantial detriment to the public good. That is the same as today. The distances are the same in the previous application as they are today. The buildings that are there are not moving. In fact, Building A was never permitted by Monroe Township, and I'm happy to provide proof of that through an OPA request to everyone on the board. So for all of the things that were said to be stored in Building A, that is a non-permitted building. Additionally, number 7 states, the board notes that the applicant's use variance includes 12 bulk variances. How this would negatively impact the adjacent nearby properties, the neighborhood, and therefore the public good. We're still here today hearing those same things and the same distances, the same buildings, and the same double use. The board also found that the flooding experienced by us due to the impervious coverage, I have pictures that I'm happy to provide, that has not changed. Number 8, the board determines the continuation of the single-family residential use and landscaping business would frustrate the goals of the town's master plan. That is, again, what the applicant is going for today. The board determined then that the inclusion of the commercial use would be detrimental to the quality of life for the residents. The board reiterated on number 8 that one of the goals of sound zoning was to eliminate non-conforming uses, not to acknowledge them. Number 9 is that a landscaping business, and this is most important, is not a novel enterprise. Landscaping businesses are permitted within numerous other zones within the township. Mr. Gravina is a business owner. It is his responsibility as a business owner to satisfy his expenses as a business owner. That should not come on to us and have that affect our property. The same thing is said here. That is not, the landscaping is permitted within numerous other zones, not in an R60 zone. Number 10 says that the board concluded that the subject property cannot accommodate the issues associated with the two principal uses, including a landscaping business use not permitted in the R60 district. The applicant's project clearly represents an overdevelopment of the subject property. I'm reading verbatim. That was number 10.
Res judicata. We're beyond that. Well beyond it.
You're good. You're good.
Okay.
Getting into the merits, which I'm happy to debate.
The merits, I'm happy to talk about another time.
We're not going to have back and forth here. Let our counsel speak.
So I would just indicate that you've recited numerous conclusions from the prior resolution for the prior application, which we're still trying to determine whether or not it's the same application or a different application.
Right. So go ahead.
Thanks. If the board were to determine that it is the same application, the analysis would be the same, which is why res judicata would apply.
Mm-hmm.
But until we decide whether or not they're the same application or not, there's no way to know whether or not those conclusions are going to be applicable to this application. So I recognize the paragraphs you're reading and the conclusions you're trying to tell the board it needs to make based upon them, but the board can't make those conclusions until it ultimately hears the application. And it needs to make the outset determination of whether res judicata applies to bar the hearing of the application, which would intimate that those would be still then applicable. But if the board were to determine that res judicata does not apply, it's going to hear the entire application and it's going to make a determination, and the resolution it issues will indicate whether it has granted or denied the application based upon whatever its rationales are. So that's where we're at.
I understand what you're saying. I also was pointing out that what was asked for then is still what's asked for now, in terms of the fact that a building is still 7 feet from my property line. That's not being moved. In terms of a trailer being asked from 1 to now being asked to 2 to be parked in the driveway, that. And as well as the second building where many things are proposed to be placed in that is not permitted. And you can let me know if you'd like to receive any of those documents. I have a copy for everyone on the board.
Thank you. I don't think that's necessary at this time. We believe you, and we can actually find out if we need to at a later date.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the public, please come forward.
Good evening, sir. If you could raise your right hand. Do you swear any testimony you're going to provide is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
If you could state your name, spell your last name, and give us your address, please, for the record.
My name is Daniel Poland, Poland.
Address, sir.
221 Old Forge Road. Neighbor right to the other side of the property in your question.
Good. Whenever you're ready, sir.
Okay, I didn't come to the first hearing, but I did it because of being a neighbor to 2 of the people involved, Buffalino and then Joe Gravavos himself. I didn't come. I didn't want any problems with neighbors, that type of thing. But I became familiar with the original hearing. Now, I spent my career as a state trooper, and I testified in court over 100 times on many different things, and taking an oath means a lot. And from my view of reviewing the last hearing, and being Joe's next door neighbor since he moved in there, and since he took over the property, he bought the property like that. I'm sure you must be aware of that. He was unaware of the variance situation at the time, where I don't see how he ever would have purchased the property. And I just saw a lot of things that I felt were falsehoods and untruths on that matter. I know we're not talking about that. As far as this new application, I looked at it. I looked at the differences between the two, and there are differences, but most substantially is the fact that he doesn't run the business from there anymore. He's a property owner with property which have some one building and two buildings that are more like lean-tos. They're open. There's no doors on them, and he doesn't run it out of there anymore. And it looks like he just wants to have two vehicles, the trailer or just the truck, possibly not even the trailer, of his foreman to speak with him in the morning, and they can go over to the place in Helmetta and pick up the equipment and do their stuff. So there's nobody going in and out all day. And there really never was anybody going in and out. I'm the next door neighbor. They were very quiet. I did hear 2 trucks or so start up, not diesel engines, just start up and drive off, and you don't see or hear of them or anyone for the rest of the day. And that's the way it was then. Now, and there were other vehicles around. There's no doubt there. But now, there's no business, nothing going on there at all. And in fact, even if there's 2 trucks parked there, I hear a lot about the way it looks, to the neighborhood. Well, I don't believe anybody could really see what's going on. If you're quite driving down the street and just look to the right on his driveway, yes, you see his buildings and you'll see whatever buildings were there. Other than that, there's no eyesore sight of the place. There's trees that have grown up and are blocking views, and so it's my view that it is totally different than it was. And just to have a couple of trucks there and the guys coming to take it, take their orders for the day, so to speak, and probably not even go back at the end of the day. I think there is a substantial difference in what's going on the property. You could get into all the little legalities of what's been said by both lawyers about this was said then, that was said then, but that doesn't change this, it doesn't change that. The point is, the property has changed completely substantially, and the only difference of the way it is now, there's nothing there. I expect to see 2 trucks, with or without a trailer, and that's what I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else from the public, please come forward. Seeing there's none, I will make a motion to close the public portion. Do I have a motion from a board member? Do I have a second? Okay. All in favor of closing the public portion? Aye. Aye. Thank you. Okay. Council, do you have anything you want to add?
Chairman, I'll be very brief. The board's heard a lot tonight. So I just want to dispel this notion of this. There was 1 truck in the past and now we're proposing 2. Paragraph 18 of the old application resolution states, Mr. Gravina stated that the applicant uses 9 trucks in total in connection with the applicant's project, and that approximately 2 to 3 trucks were used off-site per day. He confirmed that all of the applicant's trucks returned to the subject property by the end of each workday. So just want to throw that out there. The resolution itself describes 9. And just very briefly, as to Mr. Lonsky's point on behalf of the Buffalinos about the resolution and about what the board found important. This wasn't a 7-0 vote, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. This was 4-3. This application was a hair's breadth away from getting approved. So to say what the board found important or not important is a little disingenuous. I mean, the board, this is an intelligent, complicated issue and an intelligent board. So I don't know that I would proffer that I know what the board was thinking at the time it denied. Of course, Mr. Vignolo drafted one heck of a resolution, but having said that, I do think there's room for a little movement, and that movement should lead the board to think and understand that this application has changed substantially. And what I've been saying for the last 2 hours was just succinctly said in 2 minutes by Mr. Boland, I believe. And I could not say it any better than he just said it. And he's the adjacent neighbor. So nothing further. Thank you.
The only thing I'll add, and while I respect Mr. Toto, I will note that the board's resolution is an indication of the board's decision on an application. Individual board members' comments on an application, how the vote may or may not have gone, is not indicative of the board's demeanor towards an application. How the board decided an application is set forth in the resolution memorializing the board's decision. So
I don't disagree with that, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Vignola.
We're moving with 5 people.
You can, yeah. So, yeah, and just for the record, Mr. Chairman, this is the res judicata determination on whether or not the board is going to hear the application, which is a use variance application. The res judicata determination is a majority decision of the board, as opposed to a use variance application, which requires 5 affirmative votes of the board in order for it to be approved. So,
And Mr. Vignola, we have 5 voting members, and so it's 3 is necessary to move on.
right, so
Assuming-
3 affirmative votes would be required to determine that res judicata does not apply to bar the board's hearing of this application.
Do we have to provide an option if they want to wait for a full board, or?
You do not have to wait.
Okay.
It's a simple majority, so.
Was there a motion or just a roll call?
No, it'll be someone's, well, yeah, someone will move to.
Okay. Board members, we have a application before us that was previously denied. We've heard testimony tonight from their attorney. We also heard from the public. With respect to the application, both sides, we need to decide here. We need a motion if we're going to rehear the application under res judicata, where it will be starting from scratch all over again. They have to start from the very beginning. Or are we going to decline hearing it again because we feel that there wasn't substantial changes to sway us to want to hear this application again? So, do we have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion, but I'd like to say something.
Okay.
This application, and Mr. Toto, you can verify the fact, this applicant actually worked for the previous owner who was a landscaper.
Correct.
He was employed by them. He liked, obviously, and he asked, this individual was retiring, so he bought his landscape business.
Correct.
Subsequently, he didn't really do anything other than landscaping. So when we heard the first application, they had all these complaints. I wrote them down. I remember the bathroom's a problem. He has too many trucks. That's a problem. It's an eyesore. I mean, anybody can see that this has been changed considerably. I mean, I'm looking at it right here.
Marino, I think we need to streamline this. We all spoke. We have to either say yay or nay if we're moving forward or not.
I can't explain my decision.
Well, I think the issue is whether or not the application is different. So if we can focus on the differences in the application, not necessarily what the applicant may have done previously for a prior owner, because that's not really relevant to your determination on whether or not this application is substantially different from the prior application.
Well, what you just said is the determination, and my view is that I'm for it. I want to go with this.
So you're making a motion to approve to rehear
That's
the
correct.
applicant on the res judicata.
That's correct.
To find that res judicata does not apply to bar the hearing of the application would be the motion, because you want to hear
what I
it.
was trying to say, but I'll cut it short.
All right.
I think there's a million changes here.
So, do we have a second on that motion? There's a second, Ms. Katori. Madam Secretary, roll call, please.
Mr. Masters?
I'm a no.
Mr. Lupo?
Yes.
Ms. Caratori? Mr. Tanzi? Chairman LaFata?
I'm a no as well. So basically, at this point, Mr. Toto, your client cannot move forward with rehearing the application again. Came out the same way as it did, I think, the first time, and that's where this board decided.
All right, thank you for your time this evening. We appreciate your time.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, board members, we have a memorialization of application BA-5257-25, Solar Landscape LLC. And we also have memorialization of BA-5258-25, the same application. Do I have a motion to memorialize? Lori suggested. There a second?
Mr.
Second.
Tanzi?
Tanzi, yes.
Mr. Masters?
Abstain.
Mr. Lupo? Yes. Ms. Caratori? Mr. Tanzi?
Yes.
Chairman LaFata?
Yes. Are there any discussion items? Yeah, yeah, it's the same company. Any discussion items? Anyone from the public wishing to be heard, please come forward. Seeing there's none, I'll close the public portion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any correspondence? I make a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Happy New Year, everyone. See you next month.